The transport ship Cosmic Unity dropped out of hyperspace with a deep rumble that shook every bolt in its hull. Through the main viewport, the dead world of Nexus Prime hung like a gray marble against the black void of space. No atmosphere, no life signs, just ancient ruins that stretched across continents like scars on dead flesh. Dr. Kethavar adjusted his breathing apparatus and checked his equipment one more time. As the lead xenoarchaeologist for the Zephyrian Empire, he had explored dozens of dead worlds, but none had required a team this large. 12 different species represented on this mission, each one bringing their own special abilities to unlock whatever secrets lay buried on Nexus Prime. Final equipment check, Kethavar announced through the ship's communication system. His voice carried the natural authority that came from 2 centuries of field experience. In the preparation bay, the team moved with practiced efficiency. The Mindari representatives floated slightly off the ground, their large heads pulsing with soft blue light as they tested their telepathic connections. Zextal, their lead specialist, could read thoughts from 3 star systems away when conditions were right. The Voltaic twins sparked electricity between their fingers, checking their ability to manipulate energy fields. They wore special suits that channeled their natural bioelectric capabilities into useful tools for cutting through sealed doors and powering ancient technology. Near the airlock, 3 ethereals phased in and out of visible reality. Their semi-transparent forms could pass through solid matter at will, perfect for scouting dangerous areas without triggering unknown security systems. The crystalline delegate hummed at frequencies that could shatter stone or analyze molecular structures. The swarm-mind entity tested its ability to split into hundreds of smaller forms. The psych sculptors practiced reshaping reality with focused thought. Each species brought something unique to the table. Each had capabilities that humans could barely imagine. Dr. Sarah Chen stood apart from the others, running final diagnostics on her basic equipment. Atmospheric scanner, soil analysis kit, standard issue plasma cutter, recording devices. Nothing fancy, nothing that required special abilities or enhanced genetics. She was the only human on the expedition. Dr. Chen, Kethavar approached her station. Are you certain your equipment is sufficient? The ruins below are unlike anything we have encountered before. The energy readings are unusual. Sarah looked up from her checklist. At 34, she was young for a xenoarchaeologist, but her work on ancient human sites had earned respect throughout the Galactic Council. I've got everything I need. Sometimes the simple approach works best. Kethavar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. He had worked with humans before. They were competent enough, but they lacked the natural advantages that made other species truly effective in the field. No telepathy, no energy manipulation, no ability to phase through matter or split into multiple forms, just basic tool use and stubborn determination. Very well. Remember, we are here to investigate the sealed chambers in the central complex. These ruins predate any known civilization. The automated systems are still active after millions of years. Stay close to the group. The landing was smooth. Nexus Prime's surface was a wasteland of crystallized sand and twisted metal structures that hurt to look at directly. The ruins rose from the ground like the ribs of some massive dead creature, dark stone that seemed to absorb light, geometric patterns that made the eyes water if studied too closely. The team moved in formation toward the main entrance. The ethereals scouted ahead, their forms barely visible as they passed through walls and barriers. The Mindari reached out with their thoughts, trying to sense any consciousness within the complex. No life signs, Zextal reported, but there is something else. A presence. Not alive, but not entirely dead either. The entrance was a massive arch covered in symbols that none of their translation matrices could decode. Ancient beyond measure. The Voltaic twins stepped forward, electricity dancing across their skin as they interfaced with the door's locking mechanism. Power flowed through circuits that had been dormant for eons. The door responded, recognizing the energy signature. Slowly, with the sound of grinding stone, it opened to reveal a corridor that stretched into absolute darkness. Fascinating, Kethavar breathed. The power systems are still functional. Whatever civilization built this place, their technology far exceeds our current understanding. The team entered the corridor. Emergency lighting activated as they moved, casting strange shadows on the walls. The symbols here were different, more complex. They seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. 50 meters in, they reached the first sealed chamber. This door was different, smaller, more ornate. The symbols here pulsed with their own faint light. The crystalline delegate approached, humming analysis frequencies. "The material is unknown to my databases," the living crystal formation reported. "The energy patterns are unlike anything in recorded science. This door has never been opened." The Voltic twins tried to interface with the locking mechanism. Nothing happened. The ethereals attempted to phase through the barrier. They bounced back, unable to pass through what appeared to be solid matter. "Let me try." Zextal moved forward. The Mindari's head blazed with blue light as he focused his considerable telepathic abilities on the door. For a moment, the symbols responded, growing brighter. Then something went wrong. Zextal screamed, a sound no Mindari should be able to make. His body convulsed as if struck by lightning. The blue light in his head turned red, then white, then began to strobe rapidly. The Voltic twins tried to help him. The moment they touched the door, electricity erupted from their bodies in uncontrolled bursts. They collapsed, their bioelectric systems overloading. The ethereals started to phase involuntarily, their forms flickering in and out of reality without control. The crystalline delegate's humming became a harsh screech. The swarm mind split apart into its component forms, but they scattered in all directions as if fleeing from something terrible. One by one, every non-human member of the team was overwhelmed by whatever force guarded the chamber. They fell to the ground, unconscious or writhing in apparent agony. Their enhanced abilities, their genetic advantages, their superior technologies, none of it mattered. Only Sarah remained standing. She watched in shock as her colleagues suffered from something she could not see or sense. The door's symbols continued to pulse, but they caused her no discomfort, no mental feedback, no system overload. Carefully, she approached the fallen Mindari. Zextal's eyes were open but unfocused. He was breathing, but his head no longer showed any of the blue light that indicated active telepathy. "Can you hear me?" she asked. Zextal's mouth moved, but no words came out. Just a soft whisper that sounded like wind through empty corridors. Sarah checked the others. All alive but unresponsive. Whatever had affected them was beyond her understanding, but it had not touched her at all. She stood before the sealed chamber door. The symbols pulsed steadily, neither threatening nor welcoming, just waiting. Her hand moved toward the door's surface almost without conscious thought. The moment her fingertips made contact with the strange material, the locking mechanism responded. The door opened with a soft sigh, revealing the chamber beyond. Inside, ancient lights activated. Technology that predated known civilization hummed to life, and Sarah Chen, the only human present, stepped across the threshold into a place where no other species could follow. Behind her, Kethavar's unconscious form twitched. His four eyes opened briefly, unfocused and afraid. In his delirium, he spoke words in an ancient language that had been dead for millions of years. "The Guardians walk alone," he whispered, "as they always have. As they always must." Then darkness claimed him again, and Sarah walked deeper into the forbidden realm that had been waiting for her kind to return. Sarah's footsteps echoed in the chamber as she moved deeper into the ancient structure. The walls were covered with more of the shifting symbols, but now they seemed almost welcoming. Like a language she had never learned but somehow understood. The room beyond the first chamber was vast. Technology hummed softly in the walls. Lights activated as she walked, creating a path through the darkness. Everything responded to her presence as if it had been waiting millions of years for her to arrive. She pulled out her recording device and began documenting what she saw. Strange machines that defied easy description, crystalline formations that pulsed with inner light, control panels covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly, but somehow made sense when she wasn't trying to read them. Recording entry 1, she spoke into her device. "I am alone in the first chamber. The others are unconscious. The technology here is responding to my presence. I can see what appears to be a control center ahead." As she approached the central console, more lights came online. The symbols on the walls shifted and changed, forming new patterns. Some looked almost like star charts. Others resembled molecular diagrams. Many showed things she had no reference for. She reached out to touch the main console. The moment her hand made contact, the entire chamber transformed. Light erupted from every surface. Not harsh light, but something warm and welcoming. The symbols on the walls began to move, flowing like water, forming new configurations. And suddenly Sarah could read them, not with her eyes, not with any training. The knowledge simply appeared in her mind as if it had always been there. The symbols told a story. A history written in light and stone and technology beyond current understanding. And what they revealed made her blood run cold. These were not just ruins. They were prisons. The chamber showed her images. Vast spaces between stars where things that should not exist had once roamed freely. Entities of pure thought and malevolent hunger. Beings that existed in dimensions beyond the normal three, reaching into reality like fingers through paper. The Whisper Lords. The images showed how they had invaded normal space millions of years ago, how they had corrupted entire star systems with their presence. They fed on ordered thought, on the psychic energy that most advanced species used for communication and technology. The greater a species' mental abilities, the more vulnerable they were to corruption. Sarah watched in growing horror as the history played out before her. The Mindari, with their powerful telepathy, had been among the first to fall. Entire worlds of them had been turned into extensions of the Whisper Lord's will. The Voltaic civilization had tried to fight back using their energy manipulation abilities, only to have that same power turned against them. Every species that had tried to resist using their enhanced mental capabilities had been corrupted or destroyed. The more advanced their psychic abilities, the faster they fell. The war had raged for thousands of years. Entire galactic arms had been consumed, trillion of lives lost. The Whisper Lords grew stronger with each victory, feeding on the mental energy of their conquered territories, until the survivors found an answer. Hidden in the Outer Rim territories was a small blue world. Its inhabitants were primitive by galactic standards. No telepathy, no energy manipulation, no advanced psychic abilities at all. Their minds worked in chaotic, unpredictable patterns that the Whisper Lords could not understand or corrupt. Humans. The images showed Sarah things that made her question everything she thought she knew about her species' history. The galactic survivors had not discovered Earth by accident. They had been searching for it, looking for minds that worked differently, minds that could resist the Whisper Lord's influence. The final battle had been fought here, on Nexus Prime and dozens of worlds like it. The surviving species had built these prison complexes using technology that required human neural patterns to operate. Only human minds could safely interact with Whisper Lord artifacts. Only human consciousness could contain their influence without being corrupted. The war had been won, but at a terrible cost. The Whisper Lords were imprisoned, not destroyed, locked away in pocket dimensions that required constant maintenance. And the only beings capable of providing that maintenance were humans. Sarah's hands shook as she absorbed the implications. Her species had not been primitive during the Galactic War. They had been essential. The other species had deliberately hidden from humanity the true nature of their role, allowing them to develop naturally, while the galaxy rebuilt itself around them. The control console responded to her emotional state, showing her more detailed information. Locations of other prison worlds, status reports on containment systems, warning signals from sites where the barriers were beginning to weaken, and something else, a message left behind by whoever had built this place. The symbols formed words that appeared directly in her mind. To those who come after, the Guardians must walk alone. Their minds are the lock. Their presence is the key. The sleeping terrors must never wake. Guard well the forbidden realms, for the price of failure is extinction. Sarah stepped back from the console, her head spinning. Everything made sense now. Why humans were considered primitive despite their obvious intelligence. Why they had been kept isolated on Earth for so long. Why the Galactic Council had been so reluctant to share certain technologies with them. Humanity was not joining galactic civilization as equals. They were being recruited for a job that only they could do. She looked around the chamber with new understanding. This was not just an archaeological site. It was a monitoring station, one of many scattered across the galaxy, all designed to keep watch over the imprisoned Whisper Lords, and all of them required human operators. The recording device in her hand beeped softly, indicating low power. She had been in the chamber for hours, though it felt like minutes. Outside, her colleagues would still be unconscious. They would remain that way until she left the forbidden area, because this place was not meant for them. It was meant for her species. For minds that could look upon cosmic horror and remain unchanged, Sarah made her decision. She began copying the data from the control systems, downloading star charts and containment protocols and maintenance schedules, information that would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. As she worked, she wondered how many other humans knew the truth. How many were already working at sites like this, walking alone in forbidden realms, keeping watch over sleeping nightmares? The answer came to her as she accessed the personnel records. Hundreds of humans scattered across the galaxy. All of them told they were exploring ancient ruins or conducting research. None of them knowing they were part of a vast network of guardians, maintaining prisons that held the galaxy's greatest threat. The data transfer completed just as alarms began sounding in the distance. Warning signals from other containment sites, places where the barriers were weakening, places that needed human attention immediately. Sarah looked at the exit to the chamber, then back at the control console. She could leave now, return to her team, pretend she had found nothing but empty ruins, go back to her normal life and let someone else worry about the fate of the galaxy, or she could step deeper into the forbidden realm and accept the responsibility that her species had been born to carry. The choice was hers, but in her heart she already knew what she had to do. Outside the chamber, Keithfar's eyes fluttered open. In his delirium, he spoke words he did not understand. The Guardian has awakened. The watch begins again. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in recorded history. Representatives from every major species packed the great assembly hall on Centauri Station. The air buzzed with nervous energy and hushed conversations in dozens of languages. Sarah sat in the human delegation section, still wearing her expedition clothes. She had not slept in 36 hours. The data crystal containing her discoveries from Nexus Prime felt heavy in her pocket, even though it weighed almost nothing. High Speaker Veltar called the session to order. The ancient crystalline entity's voice resonated through the chamber with harmonic frequencies that every species could understand. We gather to discuss the events on Nexus Prime. Dr. Chen, please share your findings with the Assembly. Sarah stood and walked to the central platform. Thousands of eyes watched her. Some curious, some worried, some already knowing what she was about to reveal. What I found changes everything we thought we knew about human history, she began. Her voice was steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to share. The ruins on Nexus Prime are not archaeological sites. They are active prison facilities, and they require human operators. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Several delegates began speaking at once in their native languages. The Mindari representative floated higher, his head blazing with telepathic activity as he communicated with his homeworld. Dr. Chen, High Speaker Veltar's voice cut through the noise. Please explain what you mean by prison facilities. Sarah activated the holographic display system. Images from Nexus Prime filled the air above the assembly. Ancient technology, containment systems, warning displays that still showed active status after millions of years. These facilities were built to contain entities known as the Whisper Lords, beings of pure psychic energy that nearly destroyed all life in this galaxy millions of years ago. They prey on organized thought patterns, corrupting any species with advanced mental abilities. The chamber fell silent. Even the most vocal delegates stopped their discussions to listen. Humans were not absent from this ancient war. We were the weapon that ended it. Our minds work differently from other species. We cannot be corrupted by Whisper Lord influence. We are the only beings capable of safely operating the containment systems. Sarah showed them star charts recovered from the Nexus Prime database. Red markers indicated active prison sites scattered across hundreds of systems, each one requiring human supervision. There are currently 237 active containment facilities across the galaxy. All of them are monitored by human operatives. Most of these humans do not know the true nature of their work. They believe they are conducting archaeological research or operating deep space monitoring stations. The Zephyrian ambassador rose from his seat. Dr. Chen, are you suggesting that my government has been deliberately deceiving humanity about their role in galactic society? I am not suggesting it. I am stating it as fact. Sarah's voice carried no accusation, only tired certainty, for good reason. If the general human population learned they were the galaxy's jailers, many would refuse the responsibility. But without human guardians, the containment systems will fail. And if the Whisper Lords escape, she showed them historical records from the ancient war, entire star systems reduced to empty space, civilizations that had taken millions of years to develop, wiped out in decades, planets stripped of all life, leaving only empty husks floating in the void. This is what happens when the Whisper Lords are free, total extinction of all organized life. The assembly erupted in chaos. Delegates from dozens of species shouted questions and demands in their native languages. Some called for immediate action to strengthen the containment systems. Others questioned the ethics of keeping humanity in the dark about their role. High Speaker Veltar restored order with a harmonic pulse that silenced all other sounds. Dr. Chen, what is the current status of these containment facilities? Sarah's expression grew grim. Failing. The systems require regular maintenance that can only be performed by humans. But we do not have enough trained personnel. 17 facilities have already shown critical warning signs. If they fail, the entities contained within will begin affecting nearby star systems. She showed them recent status reports. Containment barriers operating at minimum efficiency. Backup systems offline. Warning signals that had been ignored because they were written in human neural patterns that other species could not interpret. The situation is worse than critical. It is approaching catastrophic. We need to expand the Human Guardian program immediately, or we risk a cascade failure that could release every imprisoned Whisper Lord simultaneously. The Mindari representative spoke for the first time since the session began. His mental voice reached every mind in the chamber except Sarah's. How many humans would be required to properly maintain all facilities? Sarah consulted her data crystal. Conservative estimates suggest we need at least 10,000 trained guardians. Currently, we have fewer than 800, and the training process is dangerous. Not every human can safely interface with Whisper Lord technology. Some minds are too similar to other species. They can be corrupted. What happens to those who fail the training? Asked the ethereal delegate. Sarah's silence spoke louder than words. Finally, she answered, "They are contained with the entities they were meant to guard. Their corrupted consciousness becomes part of the prison system, a living barrier that prevents escape." The weight of this revelation settled over the assembly like a dark cloud. They were asking humanity to provide guardians who might sacrifice not just their lives, but their very souls, to protect species that had hidden the truth from them for centuries. The voltaic representative sparked with nervous electricity. Dr. Chen, do you believe humanity will accept this responsibility once they learn the truth? Sarah thought about her colleagues still recovering on Nexus Prime, about the humans already working at containment sites, without knowing what they really guarded, about the billions of people on Earth who had no idea their species had been bred for this purpose. I cannot speak for all humanity, but I can speak for myself. She straightened, meeting the gaze of every delegate in the chamber. I accept the responsibility. I will train others who are willing, because the alternative is the extinction of everything we have worked to build. High Speaker Veltar's harmonic voice filled the chamber. The Council will now vote on Resolution 2847. Full disclosure to the human government regarding their species' role as guardians of the Forbidden Realms. An immediate expansion of the Guardian training program. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in Galactic Council history, every species agreed on a course of action. As the assembly dispersed, Sarah remained on the platform. The weight of what she had started pressed down on her shoulders. Humanity would learn the truth. Some would accept it, others would reject it. But the work would continue, because in the Forbidden Realms where no other species could walk, human guardians stood watch over sleeping nightmares, and they would continue to stand watch alone if necessary, until the last star burned out. The crystalline High Speaker approached her as the chamber emptied. Dr. Chen, do you truly believe your species will accept this burden? Sarah looked out at the stars visible through the great viewport. Somewhere out there, ancient prisons held entities that could end all life, and somewhere else, humans worked alone in the darkness to keep those prisons sealed. We have been accepting it for millions of years, she said quietly. We just did not know we were doing it. Now we will do it with open eyes. As she left the chamber, automated systems across the galaxy registered her neural pattern. Doors that had been sealed for eons recognized her as authorized personnel. Ancient facilities powered up, ready to receive their new guardian. The test had begun, and humanity would either rise to meet it, or the galaxy would fall into eternal darkness. The transport ship Guardian's path emerged from hyperspace near the dead system of Keth-Moran. Sarah pressed her face against the viewport, watching as 3 planets came into view. Each world was gray and lifeless, their surfaces covered with geometric structures that hurt to look at directly. "Triple containment site," explained Commander James Rodriguez, the ship's captain. He was one of the original human Guardians, recruited 20 years ago under the cover story of deep space exploration. 3 separate prison complexes, each containing different types of Whisper Lord entities. This is where we train the dangerous assignments. Sarah had spent the last 6 months traveling to containment sites across the galaxy. Each one taught her something new about humanity's hidden role. Each one raised more questions about their true nature and purpose. "How long have you known?" she asked. "About what we really are, I mean." Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. He was older than most Guardians, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. 5 years. Maybe 6. Started putting pieces together when I realized the ancient ruins I was studying had air recycling systems that required human DNA to activate. The ship's landing sequence engaged automatically as they approached the first planet. No pilot input required. The system recognized their human neural patterns and guided them to the designated landing zone. "Dr. Chen," Rodriguez turned to face her. "What you are about to see down there will change how you think about our species. Are you sure you are ready for this?" Sarah nodded, though she was not sure of anything anymore. The revelations from Nexus Prime had shattered her understanding of human history. But each new site revealed deeper truths that were harder to accept. The landing platform was carved directly into the planet's bedrock, ancient but perfectly maintained. Warning symbols in dozens of languages covered every surface, all saying the same thing. Authorized personnel only. Contamination risk extreme. Mental shielding required. But there were no mental shields for humans. They did not need them. As they walked toward the first containment facility, Sarah noticed something strange about the architecture. The passages were sized for humans. The control panels were positioned at human height. The atmospheric mixture was perfect for human physiology. "Rodriguez, when was this place built?" "According to the dating systems, about 4 million years ago. Long before humans developed space travel. Long before humans even existed, according to official galactic history." Sarah stopped walking. "But the entire facility is designed for human operators." "Now you are starting to understand." The first containment chamber was massive. The walls were lined with technology that defied easy description. Crystalline matrices that pulsed with inner light, metal surfaces that shifted and flowed like liquid, and in the center, a sphere of absolute darkness that seemed to absorb all light and sound. "This contains a Class 7 Whisper Lord," Rodriguez explained. "One of the most dangerous entities we have ever encountered. It can corrupt an entire star system if released. The only thing keeping it contained is the human neural pattern recognition system." He led her to the control console. The moment Sarah's hand touched the interface, the entire chamber responded. Status displays activated. The containment field strengthened. Warning indicators changed from amber to green. "The system recognizes you as authorized personnel," Rodriguez said. "But look at this." He showed her the operator logs. Thousands of entries spanning millions of years, all signed with human names, all written in human languages, records that dated back to before Earth's sun had formed. "This is impossible," Sarah whispered. "Humans have only been space-capable for a few centuries." "According to the official history, yes, but the evidence suggests otherwise." Rodriguez led her deeper into the facility. They passed chamber after chamber, each containing different types of entities. Some were barely visible wisps of energy. Others were geometric forms that hurt to perceive directly. All of them were imprisoned by technology that responded only to human consciousness. In the deepest level of the facility, they found the archives. The room was filled with crystalline storage devices that activated at their approach. Holographic displays showed star maps spanning millions of years, historical records written in ancient human dialects, technical manuals for maintaining Whisperlord containment systems. "This is the real history," Rodriguez said quietly. "Not the one they teach in schools. Not the one the Galactic Council wants us to believe." The display showed Earth as it had been 4 million years ago, a blue world teeming with primitive life. And orbiting it, massive space stations filled with humans who looked exactly like modern people. "We were not primitive during the Whisper Lord War," Sarah realized. We were already an advanced spacefaring civilization. More than that, we were the ones who discovered the Whisper Lords in the first place. We were exploring beyond the galactic rim when we encountered them, and we were the ones who realized they could not corrupt human consciousness. The historical records painted a picture that contradicted everything Sarah thought she knew. Humans had been the galaxy's dominant species millions of years ago. They had built a vast interstellar civilization based on principles of individual freedom and chaotic creativity. When the Whisper Lords invaded normal space, other species had begged humanity for help. Human fleets had fought battles across thousands of light years. Human engineers had designed the containment systems. Human volunteers had sacrificed themselves to build the prisons that held cosmic nightmares. What happened to them? To us, I mean. Why do we not remember any of this? Rodriguez activated another display. This one showed the final phase of the war. Human populations being evacuated from their advanced worlds, their technology being hidden or destroyed, their colonies being abandoned. The decision was made at the highest levels of human government. To protect the galaxy from future Whisper Lord incursions, humanity would sacrifice its civilization. We would return to Earth, allow ourselves to devolve back to a primitive state, forget our true nature until the galaxy needed us again. Sarah stared at images of massive human ships departing their colonies, entire cities being dismantled, technology that could reshape matter itself being buried on dead worlds. It was the ultimate sacrifice. We gave up everything we had built, became primitive by choice, let other species believe they were the advanced civilizations, also that when the containment systems eventually failed, there would still be humans available to repair them. But why? Why sacrifice so much? Rodriguez pointed to a final set of displays, predictions and probability calculations that spanned millions of years into the future, all of them showing the same result. Because the Whisper Lords are not gone, they are just sleeping, and someday they will try to escape again. When that happens, the galaxy will need guardians, beings who cannot be corrupted, minds that work in ways the Whisper Lords cannot understand or predict. Sarah felt the weight of revelation crushing down on her. Humanity had not been recruited to guard forbidden realms. They had been designed for it, bred for it. Their entire evolution had been guided toward this purpose. Every human carries the genetic memory of what we once were, Rodriguez continued. That is why some of us can interface with the containment systems more easily than others. That is why some humans feel drawn to explore dangerous places. We are remembering our true nature. The implications were staggering. Human restlessness and curiosity were not random traits. They were carefully cultivated characteristics designed to ensure the species would eventually spread across the galaxy and find the containment sites. Human resistance to telepathic influence was not an accident. It was the result of millions of years of selective breeding and genetic modification. Human creativity and individuality were not quirks of evolution. They were weapons specifically designed to fight entities that fed on ordered thought. Dr. Chen, Rodriguez's voice was gentle but serious. Now you understand why the Galactic Council kept this secret. If humanity knew they were living a carefully scripted role, some would rebel. Some would refuse to play their part. But the galaxy cannot survive without human guardians. Sarah looked around the archive chamber, evidence of a vast human civilization that had voluntarily erased itself to save the galaxy. Technology that could have made humanity the dominant force in the universe, abandoned to maintain cosmic balance. What happens now? She asked. Now you make the same choice our ancestors made. Do you accept the responsibility? Do you walk alone in the forbidden realms, guarding sleeping nightmares so that other species can live in peace? Sarah thought about Earth, about the billions of humans who had no idea they were descendants of cosmic guardians, about the choice that every human would eventually have to make. I accept, she said quietly, but not just for me. For all of us, it is time humanity reclaimed its birthright. Rodriguez smiled. It was the first time she had seen him look truly happy. Then welcome home, Guardian. Welcome to your true calling. As they left the archive chamber, the containment systems throughout the facility hummed with renewed power. The sleeping entities in their prisons stirred but could not wake. Their guardians had returned and the watch would continue. In the void between stars, ancient automated systems registered the neural patterns of humans accepting their destiny. On dead worlds across the galaxy, The emergency meeting took place in the deepest levels of the Galactic Council chambers. No windows. No external communications. Just 50 beings seated around a circular table in a room designed to contain the most dangerous secrets in the galaxy. Sarah sat with the human delegation, but she was no longer just Dr. Sarah Chen, xenoarchaeologist. The transformation had been gradual but undeniable. 6 months of walking through forbidden realms had changed her. Her eyes now held flecks of silver that seemed to shift in the light. Her thoughts moved faster, processing information in patterns that normal humans could not follow. She was becoming something between human and guardian, and she was not the only one. High Speaker Veltar activated the chamber's privacy shields. This session is classified at the highest levels. What we discuss here will determine the fate of the galaxy. The holographic display showed a star map of the local galactic arm. Red dots marked the locations of containment facilities. Green dots showed sites with active human guardians. Yellow indicated facilities operating at minimum efficiency. Too many yellow dots, not enough green. The situation has deteriorated faster than our most pessimistic projections, announced Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne, the newly appointed Director of Human Guardian Operations. She had been one of the first volunteers after the truth was revealed to Earth's governments. We now have over 3,000 trained guardians, but it is not enough. Sarah studied the display. The pattern was clear to her enhanced perception. The containment network was failing in a cascade effect. Each facility that went offline put additional strain on neighboring sites. Soon entire sectors would be undefended. How long do we have? Asked the Zephyrian ambassador. Conservative estimates give us 18 months before we reach critical cascade failure, Dr. Hawthorne replied. Optimistic estimates suggest we might have 2 years if we implement emergency protocols. What kind of emergency protocols? The question came from the Mindari representative, whose head now glowed with a dim blue light. Even the reduced telepathic activity was enough to maintain basic communication. Sarah stood to answer. Her voice carried new harmonics that made some species uncomfortable. Complete integration. We stop treating this as a temporary assignment and accept it as humanity's permanent role in galactic society. Murmurs rippled around the table. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Dr. Chen, High Speaker Veltar's voice carried warning tones. Please explain what you mean by complete integration. Sarah activated her personal interface with the chamber's systems. Unlike other species, she no longer needed external devices to communicate with galactic technology. The neural modifications that came with Guardian training allowed direct mental interface. The current system is unsustainable, she explained, as new data filled the holographic display. We are asking humans to maintain facilities designed for a larger population. The original Guardian network required at least 50,000 active personnel. We have 3,000. Recruitment efforts continue, the human ambassador interjected. Earth's governments are cooperating fully. More volunteers arrive each month. Not enough. Sarah's enhanced mind processed probability matrices faster than the chamber's computers, and the volunteers are not suitable for all assignments. Each guardian must be matched to specific types of containment systems. The training process has a 40% failure rate. She did not mention what happened to the failures. Everyone in the room already knew. What do you propose? Asked the crystalline delegate. Sarah's answer changed everything. Breeding programs, genetic modification, accelerated development of human guardian traits. We stop allowing humanity to develop naturally and start actively cultivating the characteristics needed for containment work. The chamber erupted in shocked protests. Several delegates began speaking simultaneously in their native languages. The ethereal representative phased in and out of visibility in distress. High Speaker Veltar restored order with a harmonic pulse. Dr. Chen, you are suggesting the deliberate genetic manipulation of an entire species. I am suggesting we acknowledge what was already done millions of years ago and complete the process. Sarah replied calmly. Humanity was designed to be guardians. Our ancestors modified our genetics to make us immune to Whisper Lord corruption. Now we need to take the next step. Dr. Hawthorne leaned forward. Sarah, what you are describing would fundamentally change what it means to be human. We have already changed. Sarah gestured to herself and the other guardians present. Look at us. Enhanced neural processing, direct interface with containment systems, resistance to psychic influence that borders on immunity. We are not the same species that left Earth 6 months ago. It was true. The transformation was visible in all the active guardians. Their eyes held that strange silver light. Their movements carried an uncanny precision. They spoke with subtle harmonics that indicated their minds were processing information on multiple levels simultaneously. The modifications occur naturally through exposure to containment systems, Sarah continued. But the process is random and incomplete. Some guardians develop full interface capability. Others remain partially connected. A few become something else entirely. She showed them classified reports from the most dangerous assignments. Guardians who had been exposed to Class 9 containment systems. Humans who could no longer relate to their own species. Beings who existed in a state between human and something incomprehensibly alien. They are still loyal to humanity, Sarah assured the assembly, but they cannot return to normal human society. They have become living extensions of the containment network itself. The voltaic representative sparked with nervous electricity. Dr. Chen, are you suggesting this is humanity's inevitable future? Sarah met the gaze of every delegate in the chamber. Her silver-flecked eyes showed no uncertainty. I am suggesting this is humanity's purpose. We were created to be guardians. Our entire evolutionary history was guided toward this goal. Now we have the opportunity to fulfill that purpose completely. What about human free will? Demanded the ethereal delegate. What about their right to choose their own destiny? They do choose, Sarah replied. Every human who volunteers for guardian training makes that choice freely. But we need to make the process more efficient, more targeted. We need humans specifically designed for different types of containment work. She showed them her proposal. Genetic modifications that would create specialized guardian subtypes. Humans adapted for different classes of Whisperlord entities. Breeding programs that would ensure each generation was better suited for containment work than the last. Within 100 years, we could have a stable guardian population capable of maintaining every containment facility in the galaxy. Humanity would take its place as the permanent protectors of galactic civilization. And lose their humanity in the process, Dr. Hawthorne said quietly. Sarah's expression softened slightly. For a moment she looked like the archaeologist she had once been instead of the guardian she was becoming. Perhaps, but the alternative is the destruction of everything we have worked to protect. The Whisper Lords are not just imprisoned. Dr. Hawthorne, they are learning, adapting, finding new ways to influence reality from within their containment fields. She showed them the latest reports from the most secure facilities, containment barriers that were being slowly eroded from within, warning systems that registered influence patterns never seen before, evidence that the imprisoned entities were somehow communicating with each other across vast distances. They are planning something, a coordinated escape attempt that will overwhelm our current defenses. When that happens, we need guardians who can match their evolution with our own. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The choice was no longer between preserving humanity's natural development or asking them to serve as guardians. The choice was between transforming humanity into something capable of containing cosmic horrors or watching the galaxy die. High Speaker Veltar spoke for the entire assembly. Dr. Chen, this decision cannot be made by the Galactic Council alone. Humanity must choose its own path. Sarah nodded. She had expected this response. The human governments are already considering the proposal. Earth's leading scientists are reviewing the genetic modification protocols. Within 6 months, we will have an answer. And if humanity refuses? Sarah looked at the star map one final time. Red dots marking the locations of sleeping nightmares. Yellow indicators showing failing containment systems. The mathematical certainty of cascade failure spreading across the galaxy like a plague. Then we who have already changed will continue the work alone, however many of us there are. However long we can maintain the barriers. We will walk in the forbidden realms until the last star burns out because someone must. As the meeting ended and delegates filed out of the chamber, Sarah remained behind. The holographic display continued to show the containment network status. More yellow indicators appeared as she watched. Systems failing. Barriers weakening. Ancient enemies stirring in their prisons. Dr. Hawthorne approached her. Sarah, do you really believe this is the only way? Sarah's silver eyes reflected the light from the failing containment indicators. I believe this is what we were made for.